What's up guys, welcome to your very first 3DsMax tutorial. Hopefully this is the first of many. In these tutorials we're going to be going from beginner to very advanced, awesome animator and modeler. So, go ahead and get ready. Prepare for that. Just want to let you know. So, you probably open this and you're like, WTF is all this, and you don't even know where to begin or even what buttons to start messing up or clicking or anything. Well, I'm not going to keep you from messing anything up, but the first thing I want to do is pretty much go over everything and tell you what it's called and a quick overview of what it does. So let's start right on top where we begin with most pieces of software. This bar up here is called the menu. These are where you click and all of your menus drop down. Pretty much every single thing is contained in here. It's like pretty much the heart of your program. Right under it, if we click away, this is our toolbar right here. This is where the most common tools that we use to create stuff, this is where they are. So anytime I say toolbar, you know it look right here. So under this thing right here with the graphite modeling tool, freeform and selection, this is called the ribbon. Now I'm not even going to tell you guys what this does yet because it's pretty advanced and it'll just confuse you. So aside from these little things right here, you get this big mama right here, all of this stuff right here. Now this is actually 4 different little boxes if you can't tell, and all of these things are called viewports. And if you couldn't guess already, this is where you view your object from different angles. So let me go ahead and create an object real quick. I know you guys don't know how to create one yet, but bear with me. This is just for an example. See, this is the top view right here. This is the front view of the cube I just created. This is the left view, and this is the perspective view right here. So it's the same object, it's just 4 different views. So that's what the viewport is. Now, aside from the viewport, another main section of this is the command panel. And the command panel is this right here. And I know it's probably hard to see, but this command panel is actually 6 different tabs in one. And these are the tabs up here. So anytime I say go to your command panel and click on the create tab, you'll know that it's right there. And if you see something like these right here, and you're like, how the heck do you get that? That's not in mine. Then that means you're on the wrong tab. So aside from that, I guess the only other thing that's apparent in 3DsMax is this lower interface, and this is called, if you couldn't guess, it's the lower interface. Oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And this pretty much is used for animation, and these over here are to like view your viewport or views in different ways, but we'll be talking about these in detail later. So now that we got that under control, the only other thing I want to talk to you guys about, pretty much with naming conventions before we go into the specifics, is pretty much where the file button's located. You see edit, tools, group, here's your save stuff. Your file button is actually this button right here, and it's called the application button. They decided to get rid of the file button. I don't know why, maybe because they want to brand their logo or something, but all of your file commands are under here. So anytime you would usually use file, it's under this application button. Now let's begin learning what these most common toolbar items mean. The most common ones that we're going to be working with is probably select object. And this, say you have an object right here and you have another object right here, which is a sphere. And I know you guys, I didn't go over how to build these yet. Don't worry, we will do that in probably the next tutorial. But for now, I'm just building them real quick to demonstrate what these tools mean. So a select object pretty much selects between one object and the other. So you probably could have guessed that. And the hotkey for that is Q. And another object that we're going to be using a lot is select and move. And this is the little icon with arrows to the north, south, east, and west. So if you select that, you can move your 3D objects around. So you can move it in the X, the Z, or if you click in the middle, you can move it around like that a little easier probably. So again, anytime you want to move it on the axis, just hover over the axis and it'll light up. Or if you want to move it like freeform, click this little box right here in the middle, and the entire thing will light up. And again, that's just how you move any object. And again, the hotkey for that is W. I don't know where they got the letters for this. Q for select object, W if you want to move to your select and move tool. I don't know, but whatever. Alright, the other tool that we're going to be working with a lot is select and rotate. What this does, it's like a select tool, bam, but you also get this rotate function right here. So you can hover over one of these axes and you can rotate this as well. Or your master axis, bam. Or again, you can go to the middle one, and then this lets you hover or rotate in any direction. So let's get a good angle to rotate with, and bam, just use our select and rotate tool. Again, the hotkey for that is E. So anytime you want to use it and you're too lazy to go up here and click the button, all you need to click Z. How convenient is that? And the last object, or excuse me, the last tool that we're going to be used to work with our objects for now is called this one, and this is the scale. And what this does is pretty much change the size of your object. So if we go ahead and click the center, we can go ahead and change the size by dragging our mouse up or dragging it down while it's clicked. Once you release, it sets the size. You can also change the size of different axes by clicking one of them and changing it and stretching it, or clicking another one, and you can get some pretty messed up looking shapes this way, but you know, that's how you do it. So, and bam, look at that. So in this tutorial we covered pretty much what everything's called the interface, and we also covered the common tools that we're going to be using. In the next tutorial I'm probably going to be going over different ways that you can view your objects, because it's kind of important. It's probably the most important tutorial, the next one. So for now, just play around with it. Click a bunch of buttons. I'm sure you'll figure something out. But thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next tutorial. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to your second 3DsMax tutorial. And in this tutorial I'm going to show you guys how to work with a viewport and how to view your objects effectively. So I know I didn't teach you guys how to create objects or anything, but we're going to need one for this tutorial. So in the next couple tutorials I'm going to show you guys how to create objects, but since we need a quick one for this tutorial, just follow along. Go ahead and click teapot right here and make sure you have your select object, and then once you have teapot selected, just go ahead and click the middle of your perspective viewport and just drag from the inside out. And the more you drag, the bigger object gets. So just go ahead and make a medium-sized one, and bam, we have a teapot. So that's your one quick tutorial on how to create an object, and that's all you get for now. If you want more, you have to watch later. This tutorial isn't about creating objects, it's about viewports. So let's get to viewports. So as I said in the last tutorial, each viewport 1, 2, 3, 4 is for viewing a different angle of this teapot in this case. For example, this one's the top view, front view, left view, and perspective view, which is pretty much your custom view. And you have this little thing, and this is called a view cube in the upper right hand corner. Now a view cube is what you're probably going to be using a lot to get different angles when working with your object. So for example, you can see that this view cube has a little thing that says front, left, and top. So if you go ahead and click front, you go ahead and you get the front view. You can go ahead and click one of these corners also to get different views. And aside from just clicking it to move it to a new position, you can also hold your mouse down on the view cube, and don't just click it, hold your mouse button down and drag it just like this. And when you drag it, it rotates to a custom view. And if you just want to rotate it and you don't want to go up or down or anything, you can go ahead and click this little circle right here, and when you scroll your mouse up and down, or left and right, it doesn't really matter, then it changes views and it only rotates it. So what I usually do most of the time is just click and drag the entire cube, so that way I have total control over it. But aside from this, you also have a house in your top left corner, and this is your home view. So go ahead and click this house right here, right next to your viewport, and this always brings you back to home. So if you're working with a weird view, like something modeling it down here, you can go ahead and click the house and it will bring you back to default. So this is called your home state, and it is pretty much your default view. And anytime you want a new default view, like you want to be working in this angle a lot, you can go ahead and right click your view cube and you can set current view as home, and now this view will be home, and anytime you don't want it again, just uncheck it. But right now I just want to keep mine as home, so bam, there we go. So that's pretty much your basics of the view cube. If you need to customize it even further, you can go to views, your views menu at the top, view cube, and you can go to configure. So this lets you configure the view cube, like things like the size of it, opacity, snap to closest view, but I just like to keep the default since I'm teaching people in these tutorials. So well, that's all you get. So if you want to customize it even further, again, views, view cube, configure. But another thing aside from the view cube, if you want a different way to view your objects, you can also have something called a steering wheel. Now in order to get to the steering wheel, you can either go to view, steering wheel, and toggle steering wheels, and then that brings up this thing, which is a steering wheel. I'm going to close out of this real quick. The easier way to get to this is to hold down the shift key if you're working with a PC and press W, and this also brings up the steering wheel. You just don't have to go through the menus first. Again, that's shift and press W. So what this allows you to do is use these different buttons, which is like zoom, and there we go. I was messing up last time. So just click zoom and drag your mouse up or down to zoom in. You can also do things like orbit, so you can orbit around this point, or you can go ahead and click pan, or let's see, what's another one, up and down. That's a good one to just like move the camera up or down. But I usually don't like to do any of this since I just use the viewport mostly, and what I'm about to tell you next time. But if you do like using the steering wheel and you want to use it, go ahead and click views. What do I go to configure? Viewport configurations, and then you can go ahead and click steering wheels, and this will give you more control if you want to customize your steering wheel any further. And now to probably the best method of all for viewing your objects, and that's the plain old middle mouse scroll button. Now you need a mouse button with a middle scroll button on it to use it, of course. So just go ahead, and if you move your scroll button like this, it zooms your object in and out. So bam, how easy is that? You don't have to click anything, you just have to move your finger a little bit. So anytime you want to pan, which is pretty much like viewing your object like a piece of paper and moving it around, just press the scroll button, press that middle button, and go ahead and move it around like that. So now we know how to pan by clicking and dragging and zoom. So what else can we do with the scroll button? Well, there's one other thing we can do, and that's rotate. And if you press the Alt tab on your keyboard, and I know you finally got to bring out your left hand, if you hold down Alt on your keyboard and click and drag just like you were panning, you can rotate it. So just with the mouse button, this is probably the easiest and laziest way, and that's why I use it. You could zoom it by rolling it, you can pan it by clicking and dragging, and if you alt and try to click and drag, it rotates it. So how easy and awesome is that? So that is your real quick tutorial on how do you get different views using the viewport and steering wheel, and most effectively your mouse button. That's probably one I'm going to be doing most often, but sometimes, you know, I like to use this viewport just to toggle on and off. But anyways, that's your real quick tutorial on how to get different views. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and definitely don't forget to check out my next tutorial. So thank you, and I'll see you then.